Welcome. I bid you welcome. John Clauser, Johnny Metal, the Metal Dad, coming to you from my music corner of the world. Welcome to another edition of Mortification Monday. So, just like I did with last week, this time I'm going to look at the second album done by Steve Rowe's band prior to Mortification band called Light Force. Last week I took a look at Battle Zone. This week I take a look at Battle or Mystical Thieves. This version is this was originally released on, you can kind of see there, Pure Metal Records. Um, and Interestingly enough, this was actually a company based out of practically my hometown in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Or at least that's where their offices or distribution was. Um, Let me show this version off. This is a little bit, kind of tell it's a little bit different here. Maybe the colors are maybe a little bit more brighter, I guess you could say. Um, this would be I think Scott Waters and the No Life Till Metal guys kind of retouched, kind of touched that up a little bit. Um, And then, of course, here's a vinyl version. This was all re-released in 2019. So um, the CD version would come with some bonus tracks. There were six songs recorded live in Sydney, Australia, 1989. Interestingly, only actually two of these songs were originally on this album. One would be featured on the forthcoming Mortification releases, and three songs unfortunately never got done anything with. Something else that before I get into the album, something else that Steve Rowe, bass player, songwriter with the band, something he was messing with was this little book, and it basically is the song um, where on Mystical Thieves that basically this comes to life. Metal Missionaries. So essentially, what this book is, it's again, it takes you through various forms of different heavy metal, whether it's glam rock, garage rock, hard rock, let's see, commercial hard rock, pop metal, commercial metal, techno metal, heavy metal, power metal, doom metal, speed metal, virgin metal, thrash metal, hardcore, noisecore, punk, and different things like that. And he just kind of he lists pictures of certain bands that would do this what was the secular version, and then he would list like different Christian bands that were doing the same kind of thing. So, for example, if you liked the band Europe, a band like Jerusalem would be a good choice if you wanted to go the Christian route. Um, I don't know if I would agree with this, Steve, but like in hard rock, he mentions AC/DC, and a Christian band he would suggest would have been Res Band or Resurrection Band. I never thought of them to sound quite like AC/DC, but maybe, but a little bit of a stretch there. Um, and so on and so forth. There's just a number of different examples that he goes in there. And if you had gotten what it was is if you got a copy of this with the CD and the vinyl version of the book. Basically, Steve had done these back in the day, and he unfortunately he had to part with them because he didn't go through proper channels of getting copyrights for the photos. So he had to unfortunately he had to destroy what he had. But I guess he was able to go through the correct channels, and then um, they were able to release this. So very cool book, actually. I really appreciated the book. Um, so let's get into the tracks of Mystical Thieves. So we have 8 tracks, just like Battlezone. So the first track, the title track, is the song "Mystical Thieves." Here again, a very early Maiden influence. Some other are felt in this song. You could tell the production is a lot better. I think it was a very roughly produced album for Battlezone, and this time they get a better production sound. You have an 8-minute epic essentially about what sin and basically how it comes into your life, and like a thief it can rob you of so many things. um and so essentially that's what you're bringing here. You do have a different guitar player. I should mention this. Fellow by the name of Murray Adams comes into play here. Now, I don't really have a good clear picture of Murray. um but let's see. Um, I'm going to guess it's this guy here with the sunglasses. That would be my guess. Anyway, some differences would kind of come up with Cameron Hall, and I guess the folks who kind of oversaw the ministry of Light Force, and they felt that Cameron was not ready to be in a band like this at that time, so he was asked to leave. They get Murray. Murray's a very good guitar player. He brings a lot of good guitar work to this album. Some twin leads as well, but a very good guitar player. So I kind of like this song. It's like I said, it's about an 8-minute song here. Steve Johnson's vocals, as I mentioned with the first album, he brings a very punk metal kind of vibe to it. Maybe not in the same vein as a Paul Di'Anno would to Iron Maiden, um, but it was just a very straightforward vocal, nothing, no hard singing or anything like that, or high vocal points. It's just basically just straight ahead. So a good song to start with. Uh, Crossfire is the next track. Here again, the punk and metal influences prevail, but they make it sound their own. So that's a good way of forging forward. Essentially, just don't let the sin catch you in the crossfire. Another good, strong song, though. Really like this one. City Streets. This is another banger about essentially, basically about homelessness. You have a nice mix of tempos. You were getting this a lot with thrash metal at this point, and a lot of different power metal and heavy metal at this time. Metal Missionary, as I mentioned with this, um, is really something that Steve Rowe would really become associated with. Um, the whole term. This book here, written by Vic Campbell, basically the Steve Rowe story as told to Vic. And so, and he really would become the metal missionary. Basically, a song talking about you look like you belong in Slayer, but you're talking about Jesus, kind of a vibe, and just what sometimes what they would suffer for getting to talk about Jesus at metal shows. Sometimes they got beat up for it, and they were persecuted in their own way, type of thing. So but basically just saying, hey, if you love Jesus but you love metal, stand up for it, and go preach the word. um Children of Sorrow, kind of a proggy thrash here again, talking about compromising beliefs and thoughts, and just stick to what you believe in, especially if you believe in Christ. Please, they're trying to encourage you to not stray from those beliefs. Searching, a good thrashy number with some slower verses, gang vocals, kind of the idea of everybody searching, but in the end, Jesus is the answer, is how they're describing this song. Here they also do a re-record from a song from Battlezone called Fastlane. Uh, And then they end with a 7 minute epic, very early Maiden-like epic on Babylon and basically the story of Babylon that you read in the Bible. So a good story, a good album closer to finish it. Um, Compilations of note from this era as well. You have this one called "The Best of Light Force Mortification's Beginnings." So here again, you have all the different players in the main two albums of Light Force. They don't count the the demo versions here. Um, the songs you get from that, you have Babylon from, of course, Mystical Thieves. Eyes of Destruction from Battlezone, Searching also from Mystical Thieves, Metal Missionary, City Streets, um, and uh, uh, and of course the title track. Um, Atomic Decay, um, Trinity, Back to Basics, uh, and Epidemic of Justice were songs that were recorded um, f- at that had been written for the band, but they never got to record those. Um, you also have this here. It's called The Best of Light Force from 1986 to 1989. And essentially, what they did here is the Mystical Thieves album and the Battlezone album. On Battlezone, they just leave off Fastlane, and then they include from one of the demos, 12 Men and Slay the Enemy. So again, here, Light Force would get to do some shows with some bigger name Christian bands. They got to do the Black Stump Festival as well in Australia, and so they were getting their name around there. Um, it just the um, music company dealings were starting to wear on the members of the band, but Steve had a very strong vision that he really wanted to keep pushing, and unfortunately, um, due to musical and creative and philosophical differences, the guys would leave Steve, and Steve would be forced to have to start things fresh. And so I will touch on that with next week's album. So here again, let me know in the comments what you think of, if you're even familiar with the Light Force band and what they meant to the Mortification um, um, history. So here again, like, share, subscribe. Please check out the many channels I list in my description. There's so many good ones to check out. But I look forward to sharing next week. We'll talk about the Break the Curse demo, and we'll see what I thought about that. So for John Klaus and John Metal, the Metal Dad, saying rock forever, y'all. We'll see you soon for next week's edition on Mortification Monday. Take care.